to episode 1 of Cult News. I hope this is working. I am not going to lie, I'm not too versed in Twitch. I have used it a couple times before to stream, but I don't know how to do all the, waiting for stream screen or the emotes. I don't know what any of that stuff means, so, maybe I'll be able to figure out as time goes on. But, so for Cult News, I wanted to share some stuff that I've been following in the news, just as my personal interest. I think it's kind of sort of educational. If you're interested in religious abuse and psychology. So I have a few articles tonight that I want to go over with you guys. I don't even know if this is legal or not. I tried looking it up and I couldn't find anything. I think it's legal to read, or it goes with Twitch's terms of service that you can read news articles on stream. If I read one of your articles and you don't want it up here, just let me know. And I'm going to try and archive these on a YouTube channel, because I'm pretty sure Twitch doesn't archive stuff for more than a certain amount of time. So I'm going to figure this stuff out as I go. So hopefully you guys can read along here with me. But I wanted to start off by going over Steve Hassan's BITE model of authoritarian control. And Steve Hassan is a cult expert. I believe he is an ex-Scientologist, maybe. I think he was in a cult decades ago. And this is his website, Freedom of Mind Resource Center, I'm pretty sure is his website. And so I'll just go over this quickly. So this is from the BITE model of authoritarian control: undue influence, thought reform, brainwashing, mind control, trafficking, and the law. Many people think of mind control as an ambiguous, mystical process that cannot be defined in concrete terms. In reality, mind control refers to a specific set of methods and techniques, such as hypnosis or thought stopping, that influence how a person thinks, feels, and acts. Based on research and theory by Robert J. Lifton, Margaret Sanger, Edgar Sheen, Louis Jolin West, and others who studied brainwashing in Maoist China, as well as cognitive dissonance theory by Leon Festinger, Steve Hassan developed the BITE model to describe the specific methods that cults use to recruit and maintain control over people. BITE, or BITE, stands for Behavior, Information, Thought, and Emotional Control. And then there's a bunch of examples here. Behavior control. Some examples are financial manipulation, restricting leisure, time, needing permission to do stuff. Information control. A lot of cults do this where you can't intake unapproved media like internet, TV, radio, books, the news, etc. Thought control. Instilling black and white thinking and encouraging only good and proper thoughts. Practices like chanting, meditating, speaking in tongues, and then emotional control. Manipulate and narrow the range of feelings. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness. Instill fear. That's obviously a big one. You can read through that if you would like to. Destructive mind control can be determined when the overall effect of these four components promotes dependency and obedience to some leader or cause. It is not necessary for every single item on the list to be present. Like many techniques, it is not inherently good or evil. If mind control techniques are used to empower an individual to have more choice and authority for their life remains within themselves, the effects can be beneficial. For example, benevolent mind control can be used to help people quit smoking without affecting any other behavior. Mind control becomes destructive when it undermines a person's ability to think and act independently. So I think the BITE model is important because you can look at it, these four factors, to see if any kind of group or person is in a cult, or something that could be considered a cult falls within this definition. Yeah, so Steve Hazan has a bunch of books out as well. So yeah, recommend that one. So the first couple articles I wanted to get into tonight are surrounding the Sarah Lawrence court case, which is currently ongoing. And this is a case I heard about when the perpetrator that we're going to talk about, he was arrested. And this is in New York State, I think. And it's kind of confusing in the names because Sarah Lawrence is the name of the college. And then the leader, the perpetrator or abuser, his name is Lawrence as well. So at first I was like, who is Sarah Lawrence? But yeah, that's the name of the college. So this is for the Daily Mail. And there's a byline by Laura Collins. Okay, so this article is useful because there's like these points here that we can just go over quickly to get an overview of what's happened. So the headline reads, alleged cult leader Larry Ray declines to take the stand in Sarah Lawrence sex trafficking trial as defense rests its case after calling just 2 witnesses. That reminds me, I should have done like a content warning, but so pretty much like every cult has like sex abuse in it, so that's gonna be a big thing. And there's, other heinous crimes throughout. I think there's like one cult I've ever heard of that didn't have like just straight up rape in it. So yeah, Joseph M. Pierce, thanks for hanging out. Okay, so first point. Both parties have rested in the Sarah Lawrence College sex cult case. Alleged cult leader Larry Ray failed to take the stand in his own defense. Ray made the decision after intense discussions with his legal team over the weekend and informed the judge Monday morning. After 3 weeks of often harrowing and graphic testimony and a plethora of witnesses from the prosecution, the defense case lasted barely 2 hours. Across days of testimony, Claudia Jury told the court that she had been forced into a life of prostitution and handed over more than $1 million to Ray. Ray, 62, is facing charges of tax evasion, racketeering, and money laundering, as well as multiple counts of sex trafficking and forced labor. He is accused of running a sex cult out of his daughter Talia's dorm at the elite liberal arts college in Bronxville, New York. And this is the man himself. He's so gross. You're definitely not going to click on the image gallery. This is super long. Should I read? Oh, okay, it's not actually that long. There's a lot of pictures. Okay. Both parties have rested in the Sarah Lawrence College sex cult case with alleged cult leader Larry Ray declining to take the stand in his own defense. Ray made the decision after intense discussions with his legal team over the weekend. He informed Judge Louis Lehman of it Monday morning ahead of the jury entering court and before the defense stepped up to present its case. After 3 weeks of often harrowing and graphic testimony and a plethora of witnesses from the prosecution, including 4 former cult members, the defense case lasted barely 2 hours and took in just 2 witnesses. The first forensic cell site analyst John B. Miner attempted to cast doubt on the credibility of government maps that tracked cell phone activity and appeared to incriminate Ray and his co-conspirator Isabella Pollock by putting them in the same place as Claudia Jury at key times. Across several days of testimony, Jury told the court that she had been forced into a life of prostitution and handed over more than $1 million to Ray by way of reparations for wrongs of which he coerced her into believed herself guilty. On Monday, jurors heard that the data was unreliable, but under cross-examination from Lindsay Keenan, the quality of Miner's own conclusions was undermined, leaving it unclear what, if any, gains his testimony had made. Next came attorney Glenn Ripa, the subject of a hearing late Friday. The defense had initially hoped to introduce an advice of counsel defense, with Ripa's testimony arguing that Ray acted in good faith collecting reparations from students, including Jury, and not paying taxes on them, having been told that those actions were legal by Ripa. Judge Lewis did not allow this, finding that Ripa's testimony, which he described as all over the place, fell far short of reaching that bar. Instead, Ripa could only testify that he told Ray that reparations for personal damages were not considered taxable income. Okay, this is kind of like blow-by-blow court hearings, so... basically, like, the first red flag is this man is, like, living with his daughter in her dorm. And then these are 3 of the victims of Ray: Yalitza Rosario, Felicia Rosario, and Santos Rosario. Felicia, 39, told the court how she regarded herself as Ray's wife, only recently realizing their relationship was a sham. Yalitza, 32, testified that her relationship with Ray tore her world apart and led to her mental breakdown. Santos, 30, told of violence, physical abuse, coercion, and extortion to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars. Larry Ray's sex trafficking trial was halted after the accused sex cult leader suffered another medical emergency in court. So during I think it was during testimonies, he would, like, faint or pass out in court, and it's pretty clearly a charade. I don't know why these dudes always film everything that they do, or at least take pictures. Like, I don't know, this one's pretty distressing that he's obviously, like, grappling this young woman who's trying to get away. Speaking in clear, level tones, Bracewell sought to strip back a case that has been often dumbfounding in detail and refocus the jury on what she maintained was at the heart of it. Ray, she told the court, had presided over a criminal organization that existed entirely for his benefit. He used trust to assume power and mounted a campaign of terror sustained over close to 10 years to induce confessions and turn the students of Sarah Lawrence into piggy banks. She replayed some of the most disturbing audio and video. Santos Rosario, 30, being beaten with a hammer by Ray, whose blows rained down again and again. Daniel Levin being tortured with pliers, clamped to his tongue, and a hammer thrust beneath his chin or into his torso. And she reminded the jury of the night when Ray and Pollock allegedly subjected Claudia Drury to hours of torture in her room at Manhattan's Gregory Hotel. On that night, Ray allegedly stripped Drury naked, tied her to a chair, and repeatedly suffocated her with a plastic bag, choked her with a leash, poured water over her while sitting her in the frigid blast of an AC unit, and cut her hair with souvenir scissors that had been a gift, I don't know where I got bought from, had been a gift from a client, and she had kept because she thought them pretty. They did it because by then a prostitute, Drury had become too close to that client, Bracewell said, and had to be brought to heel. I don't know if it's going to be brought up in this article, but there was a whole list of their clients that was leaked online. Jurors heard audio of the sustained attack during jury's testimony. At one point, Ray can be heard asking Pollock to pass him the plastic bag, an instrument of torture, Bracewell said. At another jury can be heard choking. You can listen to it again, Bracewell told the jury Monday afternoon, added, if you are able. The night, she said, was a snapshot that told them almost everything they need to know about Ray and his crimes. I believe Dan Levin, this guy, he was, like, tortured for his sexuality, because he's gay, I think. Just a side note there. And then that's the Sarah Lawrence College, an elite liberal arts college in Bronxville, just north of New York City. There's my ear sticking out. Ray, Bracewell told them, was at the head of a criminal structure that had a hierarchy, a group of followers, and an anointed few. His lieutenant, Isabella Pollock, and his daughter, Talia Ray. Both, she argued, were complicit in his crimes. Anticipating the biggest stumbling block of all, the how of the whole affair, Bracewell reminded jurors of the testimony of psychologist Dr. Don Hughes given 4 weeks ago. Hughes had outlined the ways in which coercive control is gained and the tactics used. She listed 10: establishing trust, physical violence, sexual abuse, isolation, indoctrination, and gaslighting. emotional abuse, deprivation, economic abuse, and collateral. Collateral is an interesting one that comes up a lot in the Nexium cult, and all these other ones too. Ray boasted to his father that he made more than $34 million off of basically pimping out these college students. He told his victims his acts of cruelty were attempts to hold them accountable for made-up acts against him. Ray believed he was the victim of a massive conspiracy, that he had been poisoned and was due reparations. The students turned his villains into their own, spun tall tales that they themselves came to believe. So there's a lot of articles out about this. A lot of it details the testimony, the victim's testimony, which I don't really want to go into. What I want to know is like how this all started. Like how he moved into his daughter's dorm. So this is another one I was going to go over, but I wonder if it's kind of similar. So this one is for the New York Post by Ben Fearherd. And there's just more pictures. So creepy. The Ray family. That's the first time I ever heard this in connection with this group. There's a lot of the same points about what happened in court recently. Larry Ray and his father. Yeah, okay, nothing much else in that one, just some creepy pictures. Okay, so switching topics. I'm going to keep following that case. I'm pretty sure Larry Ray is going to be convicted. All right, so this one is for the Times of Israel by Luke Tress. All right. Lev Tahor cult leader sentenced to 12 years for kidnapping, child exploitation. Nashman Helbrun says he's being punished because he's a loyal Jew. State prosecution says he has not shown 1 ounce of remorse for his crimes. That's him right there. White Plains, New York. A U.S. federal court sentenced the leader of the extremist Jewish Lev Tahor cult to 12 years imprisonment on Thursday for 6 convictions, including child sexual exploitation and kidnapping. Nashman Helbrun's 40 was convicted of the crimes by the Federal Southern District of New York Court in November and had faced a minimum sentence of 10 years and a maximum sentence of life in prison. Another defendant in the case, Mayor Rosner, 45, received the same punishment. U.S. federal marshals accompanied Helbrun and Rosner into the courtroom on Thursday morning. The two men's talit, or Jewish prayer shawls, I apologize for my pronunciation, dangled below their baggy orange jumpsuits as they greeted their lawyers and a Yiddish translator. Helbrun brought a copy of the Talmud and a book on Jewish history into the courtroom in a garbage bag and spent parts of the proceedings rocking in his seat in prayer, sometimes chanting softly. He appeared gaunt but energetic. The prosecution asked Judge Nelson S. Roman for a harsh sentence, saying Helbrun both set the policy of illegal child marriages in Lev Tahor and carried out the kidnapping himself by taking the children from their mother's home, disguising them, and deceiving transportation authorities. The defendant has not shown 1 ounce of remorse for his conduct, has not shown 1 ounce of remorse for his victims, the state prosecution said. Helbrins has instead accused authorities of anti-Semitic persecution and continued to malign the victims, he said. There is every indication that if he is released, he will commit the same crime again, the prosecution said, noting that Helbrins had attempted to kidnap the children a second time after an initial arrest. The mother of the children who were kidnapped, Helbrins' sister, pleaded for leniency. Even though my children and I have suffered from his actions, we have forgiven him, she told the court. So this pissed me off because she's speaking for her kids there, and you know, they're the ones who suffered the most trauma in this, so... She said Helbrins' mental stability, what the heck, why did it just refresh, had declined after his father died in 2017 and he took command of Lev Tahor. After his father died, something in Nachman changed. His face and his eyes changed. His face became white and he became gaunt and hunched over, she said. He began obsessively praying and became irrational and distant and believed God was punishing the community, especially after another relative died of an allergic reaction, she said. She asked the Helbrins be given counseling and guidance instead of prison time. My brother needs help, she said tearfully. In jail, he cannot fully heal. The longer Nachman suffers, the longer I will suffer too. Helbrins' lawyer, Bruce Kofsky, said the victim, unnamed because she is a minor, also sent in a letter of support for Helbrins, as did the other Lev Tahor members. That is another big red flag to me, where everyone has the same opinion and they're defending their abuser, basically. Kofsky likened the sentencing to the refrain Dayenu from the upcoming Passover holiday. The phrase means it would have been enough. Helbrins' actions came from a deep-seated sense of religion. Religion does strange things to people. Passing the blame. For whatever reason, Nachman has gone to the end of that road and gone a little further, Kofsky said. What is enough of a sentence where the court can say, Dayenu? He asked, requesting the minimum sentence. If the court sentenced the defendant to 10 years, that would be this word that I don't know how to pronounce. That would be enough. Kofsky said the defense plans to appeal the conviction and the sentence. Helbrins went on a tirade when allowed to speak before the sentence was announced, quoting from the Talmud he brought in and likening his prosecution to harsh decrees by the Roman Empire against Jews. He held up the history book he brought in from the jail library, comparing himself to a photo of a Jewish child in the Warsaw Ghetto during World War II. Come on, dude, you kidnapped kids. He said he asked his wife and children to mark the day of his sentencing and to make a celebration a blessing and to keep this day a holiday. I have an opportunity to be persecuted and punished only because I am a loyal Jew, he said. Thank God for that. Just ending it on like a really narcissistic note there. Like, turn this into a holiday for me. In addition to their 12-year sentences, Helbrins and Rosner will be on probation for 5 years after their release. They have already been in custody since December 2018, time which will count toward his overall prison term. Helbrins and Rosner, both U.S. citizens, were convicted last fall of all charges filed against them, including conspiring to transport a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, conspiring to travel with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct, and international parental kidnapping. Prosecutors said Helbrins masterminded the plot and Rosner served as his top lieutenant. So what I can gather is that they kidnapped the kids because they arranged marriages, and they were trafficking the kids to bring them to their adult husbands. So, yeah, it's pretty gross. And especially gross, all of the followers defending him. No. Okay, this one is really dark. I kind of debated on maybe not bringing this one up. Yeah, it's really disturbing. Not that any of these are like fine, but all right, so this is for the New Zealand Herald by Jeremy Wilkinson, called Former Cult Member Ellen Craig Wanted in Australia on Murder Charge. A Palmerston North woman accused of beating her toddler to death while living in a cult near Sydney 35 years ago is set to be extradited to Australia to face a murder charge. So, yeah, one of those insane cases where it took over 30 years for someone to come to justice. Ellen Craig, 59, appeared via video link from prison in the Palmerston North District Courts today, where Judge Carter granted the extradition. She has 15 days to appeal a decision that will surrender her to Australian authorities. Craig was arrested by New Zealand police in November after New South Wales police received a tip-off in October 2019 that her daughter Tilly Craig, too, had been murdered while they were living in Australia as part of the Ministry of God cult. So I'm going to look this up right now because I don't think the article goes into it in too much detail. This is the problem with these generic cult names, is that they're not easily Googled. Like Ministry of God, there's so many churches called that. Yeah, everything that's coming up is... Oh, is this it? Ministry of God cult inside Alexander Willen's religious sect. Yeah, I think this is the right one. No. Well, okay, maybe I can look into that for next time. Cult leader Alexander Wylan, who went by the name Alfio Nicolosi at the time and allegedly helped Craig dispose of Tilly's remains, was arrested at the same time at a property inland from Sydney. He is now before the Australian courts. Tilly's body has never been found, and her father says he spent years searching for her, not knowing she was already dead. This is so sad. Oh, getting spam comments. Nice. Tilly fell to the ground and Craig allegedly continued beating her. Oh shit, I skipped a paragraph. According to Judge Carter's decision, Australian police alleged that while living at the commune in July 1987, Craig became angry with her daughter and beat her with a piece of plastic pipe. Tilly fell to the ground, and Craig allegedly continued beating her until she was dead. It is alleged that Wylan disposed of Tilly's body by burning it in a 44-gallon drum. Tilly was never officially reported as a missing person, and authorities were only made aware of her disappearance when a witness came forward in 2019. After the alleged murder, Craig was expelled from the cult and moved back home to New Zealand, where she used the name Joelle Smith for 3 years before changing it again and working at the Palmerston North Women's Refuge under the name Irina Craig. This is the house where she was arrested. Women's Refuge Chief Executive Ang Jury was shocked when told by Open Justice about the charges Craig is now facing. She said Craig, who was no longer with Women's Refuge, was fired for erratic and paranoid behavior. She didn't leave happily, Jury said. Craig was at her Kanga Ora home when police came knocking on her door last November. She has been in custody ever since, appearing via video link at Palmerston North District Court several times this year as she fought to remain in New Zealand. And that's her with her baby. Craig argued that she's too unwell to travel, but the lawyer acting on behalf of the Commonwealth of Australia, should I say it like the American way or Canadian way? Guy Carter told the court this month that there was no reason Australia couldn't manage those health conditions. I don't know how you say it in Australia or New Zealand. Let me know. Do you say guy or gee? Why should the fact that Miss Craig left Australia, changed her name, and never returned, why should that grant her an advantage in avoiding a trial for murder, he said. Craig's lawyer, Paul Murray, said his client didn't have any more information about the alleged offending than the court had provided her and questioned the quality and availability of evidence, including people's recollections of what happened given the passage of time. Some of the allegations from Craig's time at the cult were, however, put on record in the late 1980s when one of the cult's ex-members, Margaret, testified to the Australian Supreme Court about some of the abuse she'd seen there. I witnessed extreme abuse of Tilly Craig, principally by Alfio. So that's the leader, his pseudonym. Almost every day, Tilly was repeatedly dragged into the bathroom by Alfio, who would then proceed to hit her with a wooden-backed brush, he told the Supreme Court. I'd also seen him smack her across the face so hard she got a black eye. This is a toddler. Like, it's just so, it's so extreme. Margaret told Open Justice she tried to contact Craig when she moved to New Zealand. I'd call Craig's mother every 6 months or so, and I'd ask about Tilly. Her story would change every time, she said. She'd tell me one day that she didn't know, and the next that she'd gone off to live with family. Meanwhile, Tilly's father, Gerard Stanhope, desperately searched for a trace of his missing daughter, including leaving messages for her on an Australian missing persons page long after Tilly is presumed to have died. I spent years looking for you. It almost consumed me, he wrote. Stanhope told Open Justice his ex changed her name when she moved to New Zealand in what he believes was an effort to elude him. Right now, I'm trusting that the New South Wales police have their ducks in a row and that some kind of justice will be served. That's so freaking sad. Terrible. Yeah, not a lot of cult information in that one, but definitely the perpetrator, the lady in this case, seems really mentally ill. Which makes a person susceptible to cults and controlling groups. Oh. Okay. Oh, that actually didn't take me as long as I thought it would. So the last article I picked out for tonight, I didn't think this guy would end up on the first episode. I knew I was going to talk about him at some point, and I think I'll do like a whole episode about him. I wasn't really planning on doing like focused episodes, but this is kind of ongoing, and I find this kind of interesting. So how do I remove this notification from the stream? Like the spam comments. I don't know. Okay. So this is on yourtango.com. Never heard of it. I don't know if there's a byline. It just says editor, Nia Tipton. So maybe she wrote it too? I don't know. Fans raise concerns about Jared Leto's self-described cult retreat that is coming back this summer. So take a good look at this photo here on the left. Jared Leto's here in his white robe. Everyone around him is a young lady wearing white also. Very obvious religious symbol here, but I'm wondering where all the white came from. Like, did he tell them, everyone wear a white outfit for like a group photo, or is it an actual rule at this retreat where, he's prescribed exactly what everyone can wear? Because that would definitely be culty behavior. And yeah, I've heard of his group, his retreats for his fan cults before. So yeah, let's get into it. Jared Leto is well documented to be rather alternative in his lifestyle choices, but sometimes that over-the-top persona draws criticism. Sorry, I keep burping a little. The 30 Seconds to Mars frontman has always had a cult following, but some people believe that he has attempted to harness that following and form an actual cult, along with his brother Shannon Leto. As Leto continues to find more and more success in Hollywood, that's debatable, many are raising concerns about his more questionable behavior, including allegations about the cult. Do Jared Leto and 30 Seconds to Mars have a cult? In 2019, Leto, 50, and his band invited their fans, who call themselves the Echelon, to a retreat in Croatia. I thought he was like 40. Damn. Boy. What is this? Okay, maybe I'll look at this after. The retreat, which consisted of Leto dressed in white robes, had been a 3-day music festival for hundreds of his fans to enjoy live music, yoga, and movie screenings. However, during the retreat, the band had tweeted photos of Leto leading hundreds of people while all of them were wearing white, captioning the picture, "Yes, this is a cult, #Mars Island." It's so weird. Especially this picture here where he's like addressing his followers. The band has been using that tagline for years, including on social media and merch and in music videos. In 2013, Leto told the New York Times that it had started off as a joke, a response to journalists saying, "You have such a cult following." Leto hosts expensive retreats for his cult-like following. In 2022, the 2022 iteration of Camp Mars has multiple different kinds of all-inclusive packages, which range from $1,699 to $7,199. Leto and his band have been hosting these kinds of summer camps since 2015, which were originally called Camp Mars. According to Billboard, the website, which is no longer running, stated, "This is a rustic nature experience. Expect to share your living space and live in a wonderfully communal way. The facilities are clean and safe, but they are not 4-star hotel suites with dinner mints on your pillows. Make sure you understand exactly what you are getting." So yeah, from what I've heard before, it actually is a camp where everyone has tents and yeah, it's camping, but you have to pay thousands of dollars to go to it. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Leto spoke about the Camp Mars weekend, saying, "We have always looked to do things for our audience that are fun and unique. What better way to celebrate the summer than in beautiful Southern California with the Mars family in full?" Using the term family is always like a red flag to me as well. Oh, another cult article in here. The fans of 30 Seconds to Mars who refer to themselves as the Echelon, who describe themselves as a group that seems overwhelmingly immersed not in music nerddom, but rather a more general sort of love for the community surrounding the band, and the reason why many people believe Leto's band has formed their own cult. I mean, he's the leader of it, let's be real. If people like 30 Seconds to Mars, they really, really, really like it. We have this cult, this family, these believers, Leto told the New York Times. The Suicide Squad actor is also aware of the dedication his fans have with his band and even held a competition where the prize would allow a fan to sleep in his bed for a night. It seems that the cult 30 Seconds to Mars cultivated was bred through the endless devotion their fans show them, which for people who aren't in the fandom can seem a bit unsettling. The Mars Island retreat is anticipated to return to Croatia sometime in 2022, where I'm sure we'll see more of Jared Leto leading groups of people while adorning a white robe, and of course, more theories that Leto is actually just leading his own cult. So the way I see it is Jared Leto is like, yeah, haha, it's my fan cult, like, cheeky, but then he's also like, unless, you're actually down to follow, he's DTL, down to lead. I think he actually really enjoys it. He enjoys having a following. He enjoys being worshipped. I've watched some other I forget what it was, a video on this before. So yeah, since that didn't take that long, I'm going to check out some of these articles that are linked in here. Okay. Family of TikTok dancer believe her management agency have inducted her into a Hollywood cult, by Amanda Hartman. I don't know who these people are. I don't know any TikTok dancers or anything. The family of a successful TikTok dancer reached out to fans on Instagram. Okay, if you guys need editors, let me know. In a viral video where they claim their daughter had become indoctrinated into a cult in Los Angeles. Miranda Derrick is a TikTok dancer living in Los Angeles who currently has over 700,000 followers. Recently, she has been the subject of many worried TikToks by users who have seen her parents' and sisters' video addressing their fears that she has become brainwashed by an LA-based religious cult. It is suspected that Derrick's management agency, which also works with several other high-profile social media stars, is linked to a religious organization called the Shekinah Church. Shekinah? What is the Shekinah Church? Never heard of this. The Shekinah Church describes typo there, as a racially and culturally diverse gathering of hope-filled believers, but has been accused of being a cult. The church operates an immersion school of equipping that asks followers to give money to help to fund the training, equipping, and releasing of God's ministers through Shekinah Church. Okay, this is another red flag, is these like word salad phrases that don't really mean anything. Immersion school of equipping. Over a year ago, Miranda joined the 7M Films management company, which is where her family believes the trouble began. 7M management is believed to be linked to the Shekinah Church. According to Gawker, 7M Films is an arm of the Shekinah Church that are based on a particular verse, Isaiah 2:2, I forget how to say that, like chapters 2, verse 2, I think, known as the Seven Mountain Mandate. Gawker reports that followers of this mandate believe it is their duty to enter the key facets of life, education, religion, family, business, government, and media, and rid those institutions of demons and witchcraft. These supposed beliefs, along with the mystery of Miranda Derrick's disappearance, have caused many rumors to circulate across the internet alleging that the company is a cult. While nothing is confirmed, and both 7N Films and the Shekinah Church deny such allegations, Miranda's family and many of their social media followers have become concerned. They worry that Miranda Derrick has been in a isolated, potentially brainwashing environment more than a year now. Miranda Derrick's family pleaded to Instagram about the situation, saying they live in fear. According to the near 30-minute Instagram video they uploaded to her sister Melanie Wilking's account, Miranda cut off contact with her family in January 2021 after she said she wouldn't be coming home to their grandfather's funeral, something her family stressed was very unlike her. Throughout the video, they stressed their strong bond as a family and how unlike Miranda it is to cut them all off without warning, believing this supports their claims of a third party brainwashing her. Okay, so that's definitely very culty behavior, but I don't like the use of brainwashing here because it's kind of the like mystical woo-woo thing where that kind of erases the whole mind control tactics that cults use. Melanie spoke to her sister in the video, teary-eyed, saying, "You don't need to cut us off. Life is going on and there are so many exciting things going on." Miranda's mother worried over her safety, stating that they have no way of knowing if she is safe or not. The family adds that while they have tried to contact police about the situation due to the protection of religious organizations as well as everyone known to be involved being consenting adults, there is nothing they can do about the situation. Miranda Derrick, meanwhile, has a very different story. While she may not have been speaking to her family, she was not quiet on social media when they put out these allegations. Soon after her family uploaded their video expressing their worries, she shared her side of the story over TikTok. According to Miranda, cutting her family off was not due to a cult that was exerting control over her life, but due to her family's feelings about her then-boyfriend, now husband, James Derrick. She stated, "They didn't respect a decision I made to move in with James and start our life together," continuing to add that she began distancing herself after this disagreement. Then she claims, "When I left, they decided to call the cops on James, saying that my black boyfriend, James, kidnapped me and abused me." She also makes a point to dismiss cult rumors, saying that other dancers in 7M films are still in touch with their families, claiming it is a personal choice for her to distance herself from others. Recently, the rumors have pushed Miranda and her family back together to discuss. Sorry if the mic picked that up. Now it seems that Miranda Derrick, or possibly a friend of hers, has created a secondary Instagram account to address the lies on. The only video so far is a recording of an Instagram live showing her and her parents together in Michigan as proof that they have now spoken in person. Yeah, that's about it. I thought she was like a teenager from the picture, but it says she's an adult. I wonder how old she is. $25. I mean, there's not too much evidence there, but maybe that cult will come up again. Okay. What was that other article? That Inside Yoga to the People. Inside Yoga to the People, the organization Hilaria Baldwin once belonged to, that's been dubbed a cult. Okay, so the only reason I even know who Hilaria Baldwin is because she's kind of created this scandal, apparently fakes her accent. She pretends she's from Italy, I think. She's actually just American. But the reason this title intrigued me is because these yoga cults seem to be popping up everywhere. It seems to be really, really common lately for yoga studios. I don't know if that's what you call it, like gyms and such things. They use that as like a front. And once you become a member through the yoga, they basically pressure you into joining this cult. And this is by Olivia Jekyll. Hilaria Baldwin's past is resurfacing thanks to her headline-making debacle over whether she's Spanish or not. Oh, pretends she's Spanish, like Spain Spanish. I think I said Italian. And while her husband, Alec Baldwin, has been quick to defend his wife of nearly a decade, to everyone accusing her of faking her heritage, dozens of former classmates, friends, and others who've known Baldwin throughout the years are giving their 2 cents about the mother of 5. In a lengthy post on Reddit, one social media user revealed that Baldwin was a yoga instructor at Yoga to the People over a decade ago, and that she met her when she went by Hillary in 2008. In the post, the user alleged that Yoga to the People is a cult, and that after Hilaria left Yoga to the People to open her own studio, Yoga Vida, she developed her Spanish persona. In 2011, she met Alec Baldwin at True Food and Wine, and the rest is history. True Food and Wine is that place in New York. There's like a Netflix docuseries out on it now, on the it's like a raw vegan place that had a scandal to do with the owners. Yeah. What is Yoga to the People and why has it been dubbed a cult? Read on to find out. Blah, 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 blah. In their post, the Reddit user alleged that Yoga to the People is a full-on cult. The Reddit user said that Baldwin was her yoga instructor in 2008, and after taking classes at Yoga to the People, she decided she wanted to become an instructor at the studio. I met Hillary back in 2008. She already said this, blah, blah, blah. She taught at least 2 classes per day at the St. Mark's location. The Reddit user started the post. At the time, I decided that I wanted to become an instructor, so I paid the $3,000 to join the cult, not knowing at the time that it was in fact a cult. In an interview in 2017, Baldwin revealed that she became a yoga instructor in 2005 after taking classes for 2 weeks at Yoga to the People. So this type of thing comes up a lot too with cults, where you have to pay an initial investment that is pretty substantial, and like sometimes they'll start you out in a smaller amount. Like Scientology, they start you out at like a couple hundred or something, so then your sunk investment makes you continue to stay within the group and also continue to pay into it. I forget the phrase for it. It's like sunk cost something. Where was I? The instructor who asked her to be an apprentice under him is thought to be Greg G. I don't know how the hell to say that name. The founder of Yoga to the People, who based his business model off of donations, which the Reddit user confirms in her posts. That is most absolutely him, the Reddit user responded to another user who asked if he was the instructor Baldwin mentioned in her 2017 interview. Dozens of former members of Yoga to the People have come forward about the abuse and manipulation they experienced. In July 2020, a bombshell investigation shed light on the problematic organization led by name I can't pronounce, Gamusio Greg, and dozens of former members came forward with allegations of sexual misconduct, toxic management, racial discrimination, unfair labor practices, and abuse of power. Former members of Youth to the People. Wait, not Youth to the People. I think that's a skincare line. Yoga to the People said that Greg preyed on young, vulnerable women and had relationships with multiple members at the same time. So surprising. Absolutely not predictable in any way. I felt really at ease. I would share things with him and he didn't judge me for anything. It was the first time that I didn't feel shame about the previous trauma, one former member said. Another former Yoga to the People member detailed the unfair labor practices, saying, if the class doesn't open or gets canceled due to low turnout, you don't get paid despite preparing or cleaning the room. That puts you in this loophole of teaching something like 12 classes a week but not getting paid. I would stay for like 3, 4, or 5 hours sometimes, but they always paid me the same amount. Another former member said, they present this beautiful facade, but at the end of the day, it's a business in a capitalist society. They're trying to keep the business running and they're trying to make money. Hilaria Baldwin allegedly had deep ties to Greg and his son. The same Reddit user who wrote about Hilaria being her yoga instructor also alleged that Baldwin was heavily involved with Greg. Hillary was deeply involved in the company and had a very close relationship to Greg and his son. At the time, Greg was sleeping with as many as 10 plus women in the company, and none of them knew of one another. They probably didn't know. It was like one of those open secret things. When I first saw Hillary and Greg together, I actually thought they were married because of the way that they interacted and because of how she held and played with said son. When I inquired about it with one of the managers, who I now know he was sleeping with, she said, I know, it's funny, right? You would think they were married, but they're not. Baldwin left Yoga to the People in 2010 and opened her own yoga studio called Yoga Vita. Hilaria opened her own, I just find her name itself is hilarious, her own studio in 2010 called Yoga Vita, and that's when she started to develop her new persona. She and I stayed in touch because we had some mutual friends still working at Yoga to the People, and she had a live music class that she asked me to do for her. I'm a musician. We lost touch around 2011. This is when she met Alec, and I subsequently escaped from the cult. After she met Alex, she started her new life, and I couldn't get a hold of her anymore. She started to adopt her new persona and drop her old life. She was not Spanish when I met her. She was really into ballroom dancing. She never hurt me personally, but I did question her integrity based on how she handled opening her new studio, and not speaking about the abuses of YTTP. She says she wants privacy, but her life is on constant display. The Reddit user also shared an interesting tidbit about Baldwin spending time in Spain and alleged that after she came back from her vacation, she started speaking with an accent. She didn't speak with a Spanish accent, and then she went on vacation to Spain and came back speaking with a Spanish accent, they wrote. While this story continues to be one of the strangest sagas of 2020, one thing's for sure, we haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to the mysterious life of Hilaria Baldwin and her past. I guess this came out before the whole shooting happened involving Alec Baldwin. So yeah, I'm starting to get a tickle in my throat. So I will end the stream here for tonight. I think I'm going to come back and stream on Monday. So I think on Mondays I'm going to do like either a gaming stream or a drawing or coloring stream. And then do the cult news on Thursday nights. And if you have any recommendations for me to get... not to get, but for like what to get for a webcam, and also what to do for like a backdrop back here. I know my setup kind of sucks at the moment, but that's what I'm working with. So thank you guys who stopped by. I am going to be archiving this up on my WordGrub YouTube channel. And then there's going to be like some of my older videos on there as well about like writing and drawing and like improving stuff like that. So yeah, that's it for the stream. I didn't think of an outro yet. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week.